Welcome to One-on-One, the Daily Items digital program featuring Susquehanna Valley newsmakers interviewed by Daily Item reporters. Today's guest is Mark Gittens, pastor at the H2 Church, interviewed by Francis Scarcella.
Sunbury Motor Company.
Austin Martin, Kia Elite Sales Consultant, Maranatha Christian School.
Amber Wren, Certified Hyundai and Lincoln Sales Consultant, Selinsgrove High School.
Ian Chikuski, Certified Ford Sales Professional, Mount Carmel and Shamokin area.
Christopher Stengline, Ford Certified Sales Consultant, Selinsgrove Area High School.
Tom Mertz, fourth generation owner, Sunbury Motor Company, Shikellamy High School.
A tradition of trust since 1915.
Welcome to this week's edition of One-on-One. I'm Francis Scarcella. We're being joined by Pastor Mark Gittens, H2 Church of Sunbury. Let's get right into it because this is obviously a very serious time.
Very.
And you have been all over the media in the last 2 months. And obviously, we'll again jump right into it. Arabella Parker. But this is not, Arabella Parker is one case out of a lot that have been coming to you. But tell us how you got involved with that, with the family, and obviously you start seeing the reports come out, and tell us your whole feelings on all of that.
Yeah, well, the family isn't from our church. I didn't know the family before, but like most things that we help out with our church, we can sometimes do 3-4 funerals a month, or supporting families doing hospice visitation that we never met. People refer. When they see people are in need, they say, they know our church cares and that we're here for the community. So that's how we kind of got involved. And, we were involved in the Baby Mary case and a couple of other situations that have happened over the years in our community. So being the church body that really wants to serve our community, I kind of have my church's permission to kind of step up there, and our church kind of backs me in supporting. So,
but one of this, especially this case, kind of angered you more than anything. I've never seen you an angry man.
Yeah.
And I kind of saw a different side of certain things with you in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, so, I had to pray through. I had to pray through a lot of that because
let me start. You do Facebook videos on your on yours, and some of them were pretty deep this time. I mean, you're usually out there, doing your thing, and but this time you got it kind of serious. So tell us about what led you to that and seeing what you saw. I mean, you were in the room with Arabella Parker, who was obviously the 3-year-old who was beaten to death.
Right.
And,
yes. I think first of all, I'm a dad. I have 7 children and 2 granddaughters. So put that in perspective. 3 of my kids are adopted from Northumberland County foster care system. So, we have this love and this passion for children, always had. But I think after seeing in this community, not only the child abuse that we may have seen that led to death, but just even the sexual abuse and all these things, after 21 years of witnessing the volume and the amounts in Northumberland County especially, and throughout central Pennsylvania, it just wears on you. And you kind of, I feel like I would like to say it's kind of like righteous anger, where you just kind of say, all right, enough's enough. What am I not doing? Because I believe in not blaming as much as taking responsibility, each one for ourselves, and saying, what could we have done? What didn't we do? What can we start doing? So that kind of that anger became kind of appropriate for that moment, but actually a catalyst to saying, okay, it's tore my heart wide open. Now, I'm a leader in our community. I'm a pastor in our community. I'm a father in our community. Now, what can we do? What's the action? What's the forward movement? How can I be a unifier? I mean, with all the separation and division in our country right now, this is definitely one thing that I know that many people, no matter where you're at in your life and your politics, we all want to see children be safe and live healthy lives in our community. So it really presented itself as a call and a responsibility for me to say, let's champion the children. Let's make Arabella's death worth something.
One of the things you said that stuck to everybody was that this happened under our watch. So explain why your meaning behind that.
Well, because I believe society is the way it is today because people are not taking responsibility. Everyone wants to say it's their fault. But if you can imagine if everyone kind of said, what's my fault? What's my blame? And we do something about it. Because until we get to that point, we never will change. So I think all the systems and the workers and the family members and the neighbors and the pastors and civic organizations and leaders on every hand, if we all sit back here right now and do some real self-evaluation, I think we would come out with a plan that would not just be about pointing fingers and just pointing about policies, but saying, what can I be doing differently? What should we do? We have to do better.
And I know you were saying that your door's always open, so you don't. Anybody knocks on your door, you're opening the door.
Yeah.
So in a case like this, had you have known prior to, you're open. I mean, come see you. You are going to, and you're a guy who, when people hear your name, they're kind of like, now it's getting serious. And that's because you're passionate about a lot of things. And again, you were in the room with the family the day that this happened, and you said something, and you've been coming to the hearings and the court proceedings, and we don't need to get into that, but you just sit there, and I find that striking because you just follow and you see, and some of the things that you send out during that is saying that these especially the last hearing for the funeral, you said something that also stuck to the community from what I hear, just out and about, is that it shouldn't have been a hearing for what we were there for. It should have been a different kind of hearing. Is that what you said when you sat in there and watched? You watched a father on one side in jail. You watched a mother in jail on a phone. And tell me
that was a tough. Just knowing that's someone said, "What's the best outcome in your opinion?" And I was thinking that we wouldn't be here. That this shouldn't be any of these realities, that this should be something happy, something that's for safety, those things. But the fact of the matter is no one did come out a winner. At the end of the day, Arabella's gone. Earth will never know her potential and her heart. And so I kind of made promises to her, and when she was in the coma at the end, I didn't know what she could hear or not hear.
You said she opened her eyes at one point.
Yeah,
so she looked at
I just figured talk. I was always taught, no matter what the doctors say, you always talk, you always speak. And my thing, I made a promise that I would not let this go. And that didn't mean, the courts have their responsibility and the government everyone has their roles. But I was going to figure out what my role is for Arabella, to be able to make her life worth something.
And what do you plan on doing? What are your plans?
Well, really, first of all, really planning on how to unify our community, mourn, and I've been trying to be respectful that the community needs time to grieve her loss, because it is our loss. She is the least of these, the vulnerable. And then to organize, to see how can we start advocating and educating. Those things really make a difference. It's proven that in April is Child Prevention Month. It's the least amount of reported an incidents of abuse during the month of April.
And I'm sure you hear a lot more than what I hear. I mean, I hear us at the newspaper, but you hear just through your church. And is it alarming to you on now? I mean, was this a wake-up call? Even not saying that you didn't know things and let things go, but is this kind of a wake-up call?
Well, I know that evil will always be us. It's about what do we do with this great darkness that we end up living in, And so how do we move forward? And so my thing is, we've been kind of feeling like we're trying to save this one and save that one and help this one, and But I think now it says, okay, it's not just about us. I think our role in a lot of this is convincing the rest of the community at large to do what we're doing, advocate, become foster parents, those kind of things.
And you said you do have plans. You want to meet with county officials, city officials, children and youth officials, all kind of officials all over the place. And you want to sit and have a conversation. You
to ask them what their responsibility is. What will they do about a 3-year-old that has been murdered in our community, not being the first? What's their responsibility? What's their forward action? What moves what are we going to do differently? And if the answer is nothing, then that really just shows an apathy to the reality of our lack of responsibility to our most vulnerable.
Something tells me you're not going to accept nothing as an answer.
I probably won't.
So we got a lot more to go. Pastor Mark Gittens, we'll be right back.
The Sunbury Motor Company.
Austin Martin, Kia Elite Sales Consultant, Maranatha Christian School.
Amber Wren, certified Hyundai and Lincoln sales consultant, Sealands Bavaria High School.
Ian Chikuski, certified Ford sales professional, Mount Carmel and Shamokin area.
Christopher Stengline, Ford certified sales consultant, Sealands Bavaria High School.
Tom Mertz, 4th generation owner, Sunbury Motor Company, Shikellamy High School.
A tradition of trust since 1915.
Welcome back. We're being joined with Pastor Mark Gittens, H2 Church of Sunbury. The church has a following. You're continuously growing the church. The community respects you as a whole. the family of Arabella Parker had come to you. I know you're going to do private services, and then you're in the process of putting together what only Mark Gittens can do, is make it a huge celebration of life, wherever you're going to do with that, and we can get into that. But we did sit, and I've sat with you, and we talked with the family, and one of the things that is kind of going on all over the place is the social media aspect of it. And I know that you basically said before this, you don't want to read the comments, you don't want to see it. What would you say to those people out there that because you're part of, you want to be a solution, you don't want to be part of the problem. So what do you say to the people out there that are making comments from Idaho and Texas and everywhere around the country that have no idea, that are putting blame on everybody all the way down the line? What's your take on that?
Well, first, I say that we're all to blame. So that's the first thing. But I often find that finger pointing doesn't make things change. And so if people could realize that, it actually brings us further apart. A house divided will fall, and we see that across our country with a lot of things, but in our community, if the children really matter, then we will put those finger pointing to the side, and we'll start really working on solutions, and we'll also base our solutions off of facts, not off of what we've heard and those things. That's really important. That's why even when new facts come out, I have a rule. I wait and let it kind of age a little bit before I get into it, because it's like even those facts have the ability to change. New information comes out, and you have to kind of be humble. And if you're wrong, you have to be able to say, I apologize, I said this, and now I realize it's wrong, and I'm sorry. So, of course, people don't have a lot of etiquette and manners and things, and there's a lot of that feeling. But I tell people, look, it's a Facebook world, it's not a real world either. This is the real world we live in. We should sit down and have civil conversations and find out what the facts are, and make sure we're not blaming, but we're saying, how can we make a difference at the end of the day?
With that being said, obviously the two arrested, Jared Burgess and Samantha Delcamp, have you spoke to either one of them, and would you speak to either one of them? And
I have not spoke to either one of them, and I would love to speak to either one of them. I'm here to serve people. I'm here to listen. I work for God. I don't work for people or politics or the government or the police. I'm not a judge. I think people don't understand the role of government as far as our church is concerned is for law and order. The church is for mercy and grace, and it's different. I would never expect the government to be us and let someone get away with something they did wrong, because they're there for the law and order. But that's not my role. My role is to hear people and help people through their lives, and so that will always remain my reality.
So with that being said, your plans is to meet with everybody, and you're pretty much putting that on a rush basis now, right? You're gonna let the funeral, you're gonna let the funeral happen, you're gonna let the celebration happen, and then you're getting right to work. Right. So I spoke to various people that go to the church, and they said this one had you fired up on it. So with that being said, what would you like to see come from this? What would you like to see from this entire tragedy?
Well, I think first and foremost, everything has to start at home. So my role and my goal is first and foremost is to gather the leadership of faith in our community and talk to them first as leaders of faith, since that's a common reality for us, and talk about what we're going to do as churches to assist our community, including the people that are in our parishes, to be able to really make impacts and changes in that. So I think that's going to be our first stop. Seeing that the biggest reporters are teachers in Pennsylvania, they're the biggest reporters that we have. The academic world, we're talking about kids that are younger, though, that are not in those reaches of teachers. So the church we're in neighborhoods, they have blocks here, finding some ways to really reach out to that community and let them know that we're here to help.
So your plans on change. Your plans on,
for sure,
on getting better protocols, better practices, right. and who's to say that there was anything was done? Right. But I think for what I've understood and what I've heard from people that have said that you really are kind of spearheading this and saying a lot of the comments that you made.
Several. And
you didn't blame any one person. You blamed everybody.
Everyone's going under the bus. But so for a lot of coalitions for child abuse in Pennsylvania have contacted me. So we may not have to recreate a lot of things. We may be able to alliance a lot with the ones that are there. They want to also bring some realities to the table, because they don't know our county like we know it, and see how they could be more involved in helping us. So we're going to kind of pull out all the stops. And
how about you get a lot of emails from various people saying varying cases. Where do you draw the line as far as saying is it your job to investigate every single one at this point, or is it your job to say, I'm the spokesman, I'm out there?
People are sharing their stories for sure, and I think they're really not asking to do something as much as sharing their story. Whether it was with grandchildren who were abused, after grandparents notifying officials and dealing with the different agencies and some failings that happened there, and they're sharing this story. They want to let them know that this is not the first of these types of incidences, and that they're there to support. And
did you realize that? I mean, as far as let's use Northumberland County as an example.
Yes, being a foster parent, I did.
So you realize that Northumberland County is this the worst you've seen it in your time here?
No. It's actually we've been pretty consistent. We're about. Yeah, our numbers have been pretty consistent in the county.
Why do you think that is? What do you think?
Reporting has been up, but incidents have been basically the same.
What do you think the cause of that is for this?
I think it's a breakdown in community. First of all, I mean, back in the day, your neighbor was your neighbor you all kind of watched out over the kids. You kind of were more connected. It would be nothing odd for a neighbor to yell at you, and your parents not
doors
to be upset
open, come get a sandwich, go back out.
And somebody stranger come by, they were messing with your neighbor would be out there. Nowadays we're isolated. We're in our phones. We're in our houses. We don't really cross the fence or cross the street and kind of get to meet people and really connect with them in a meaningful way. That breakdown in the community really then makes an environment that's terrible for those things happening in homes that are unseen to us. It'd be nothing for everyone to go and stay at a neighbor's house and watch a movie, or those days have seemed to be past.
Or just like the summer days with the doors open, and come over,
grab those
a drink,
days are
go
past.
back out
And we need to find some way to bring that kind of neighborhood reality community, because you can't protect children who you're not unified with together, and to be able to see those red flags and relationships that somebody may be hurt.
So it's kind of just drive on by right now instead of stopping
and
see.
It is.
And that's one of the things that you'll be looking at.
For sure.
As far as meeting, do you plan on going around and talking to various different
very much neighborhood groups? Yeah? Absolutely. I just think that that's important for this and for other things. And like I said, for the vulnerable, whether it's your elderly or your children, you have this group of people that we really owe to take care of. The Bible says to take care of the least of these, maybe those that are not able to speak or care for themselves. But I think it's part of our mission, and we could get everybody in on that. If you want a thriving society here, it will come really based on just loving your neighbor as yourself, as the scripture says.
Now, with all that said, tell us about a lot of the things that H2 Church is doing. I know you're heavily involved in Sunbury now. I see you at city council meetings. I see you doing doing the thing all over. So what are the plans for 2020 for you, for the H2 Church? Tell us what everybody's interested in. What's going on?
Well, our church worships at the mall in the old JCPenney right now on Sunday mornings and Wednesdays. But our end goal is we are been raising money to build our new facility right here in Sunbury. We wanted it to be in Sunbury ultimately, and that's
we have an annex here on Market Street.
We have an annex building, yes, and we have our offices here in Sunbury, so that's kind of like our wink to Sunbury that we're here, but we're coming. So we're just working on that as a congregation and taking care of each other, and it's been a blessing. And seeing the growth, the energy, the excitement on Sunday morning is electric, and seeing the visitors come in and get to meet us as a family. We really run like a family. So
do you see a lot of new people week after
every week? We have tons of first timers. Yep, it's great, but it's diverse. There's people from all walks of life,
and you're not a pressuring guy by any means. No. You never were.
We just speak the truth.
You just come, and if you want to come, you want to come, and you work well with various other religious leaders in the area, priests, and you. I mean, you do.
We try to love and connect with all of them and work together, because we're better off. We're better off working together and seeing how we can help, love, and support each other. So.
And last thing, tell us about people are going to be interested and they want to know about, and I don't know if you even have the details of this yet, but what are the plans for the community morning celebration for Arabella?
Yeah, we've been kind of throwing some ideas around, and I did call a couple of pastors, because it's nothing we want to do all by ourselves. We want to see it be a community reality. And it's it's nothing that Arabella's family is doing or anything. It's just what we as a community would do. And so we're just talking and seeing what's going to happen with that or not. But we want it to be a time of celebration. We want her to have a princess send off from her community, and then we want to move right to action, because we just don't want people to come and say, oh, I went there and I celebrated and we sang some songs and heard some scripture, but we really want to be able to leave with an objective list of things that we as a community are going to vow to do going forward.
So it's basically what you're doing, and I could be out of line by saying this, but you're given notice and saying after the celebration life, get prepared, because there's a lot of you coming to get change.
Yeah.
And that's basically what you're trying to do now. So.
We have to do better.
Well, we appreciate it very much. Thanks for taking the time and coming down and seeing us. That's it for this week's edition of 101.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to tune in for the next episode.